now. So let's start once again. First, I'd like to welcome the panelist, Mr. Kishore Rajans, Director, Growers Flower Council of India, Mr. Praveen Sharma, President of Indian Society of Floriculture Professionals. Of course, he is a seasoned professional in India in floriculture, and of course, his name when we talk about the high-tech, high-value, especially the vertical hydroponic-based aeroponics, Mr. Sharma is a leading name, though he seems to be nowadays more focused on the overseas market. But yes, he was the one to bring the concepts of aeroponic and hydroponic and vertical horticulture. With us, we'll be having Mr. Santosh Kulkarni, Managing Director of PJ Davi Flora Kenya. He has sent his video message, which I'll be playing later on. But then he has said that he will definitely like to join, so he may join anytime. Mr. Abhay Marathi will be there with us as he is General Manager of Akila Development Company of Kenya. He'll be talking about journey to success, impending opportunities in Kenya. Mr. Hari Subramanian is the CEO of IndieFresh Limited from UK. He'll be talking about journey to success, future trends in UK flower imports. So now let me start. I invite Mr. Kishore Rajans, Director, Grower Flower Council of India, to kindly give his views about Indian floriculture, how the Indians have gone to global floriculture, and whether Growers Flower Council of India, what role can Growers Flower Council of India may play. So let's do this brainstorming as well. It's very important that the Flower Council, which growers from across the globe are now seeing, when they see India, they want to see Growers Flower Council of India, and they want to see Indian flower grower taking the lead within India and the world, just like other flower councils have promoted their own countries' flower exports. I think Flower Council of Holland is a case in point where they have really took the entire world by storm, and they are controlling a major portion of import as well as export market. So over to you, Mr. Kishore Rajans.
Thanks, Mr. Nakvi. I will split this into two. The first, Indians in global floriculture industry, and India in global floriculture industry. So if I remember, we all passed out in 90s, 91, 92, masters in agriculture, horticulture. And many of my friends, they are today the renowned consultants, renowned managers, CEOs. Also, they are in the panelists and doing wonderful job around the world, especially in Ethiopia, Kenya, other countries like Colombia. And some of them, they are also in China, who are doing wonderful job there. So there are Indians in global floriculture industry taking it to the forward and leading the global floriculture industry. So I take pride in saying that Indians have benchmarked their credibility in global floriculture industry. So I really congratulate them and thank you so much for their inputs into the global floriculture industry. Now I will come to India in global floriculture industry. So companies like KF Bioplants, Soex Flora, Rise and Shine, and there are other companies. They are the global young plant suppliers as a input material for the floriculture industries worldwide. So let's say if I talk about KF Bioplants, you take gerberas. We are the partners with Florist Holland earlier. Now it is Hilvada Florist, and they have 78% global market share for the supply of gerberas globally. And in India, if you talk about gerbera market share for us, it's almost about 85-87%. So I think the companies in India, they have been really doing wonderful job for last 2.5 to 3 decades, and they are supplying quality plants to the companies around the world. And not only the quality, but they are committed to the delivery, the timings, and they are doing good job. So I think Indians and India, they have benchmarked their standards internationally, globally. Now, if I come to Growers Flower Council of India, I'll just give you a little background. During the Corona period, let's say March, April, and May, which was the hard time for everyone in the country, especially for the flower growers. We used to get the videos, the photos that the farmers, they are really having painful situation, you know. They are leaving cattle into the greenhouses to eat jargaras and the leaves, roses, carnations. They were dumping all the flowers into dustbins. And I saw the pictures and the videos where they have taken bulldozer in the greenhouse and taken out all the plants. And this was not 1, 2, or 3, but every day for almost 15 to 20 days. And then I was asking question to myself, is the end of the floriculture industry? Is it temporary? Is it permanent? And then I believed in a motto, desperate time, desperate measures. So we started talking to all the industry people, the stalwarts in the floriculture industry, the growers, the input suppliers, the flower buyers, the logistic people, and everyone. And then we decided that we will not bow down to this situation, but we should come all together and ensure that we will establish floriculture industry in India as a sustainable industry. And that's how the GFCI born in Corona year 2020. So as I said, GFCI, Growers Flower Council of India, the best event happened in the Corona year 2020. So that is like blessings in disguise. Now, the sole objective of GFCI is to promote flower consumption in our daily life. If you look into the history, like Amul milk, that was a revolution, that was a movement, that was a campaign. National Egg Committee, Ande, Roj Khao Sunday ke Sunday, that was a movement, that was a campaign. Today, you don't need to teach people to eat eggs or drink milk. So our sole objective of GFCI is to ensure that every lady, every day, she is buying bread, vegetable, milk, eggs, she should buy flowers and plants, and we should inculcate this culture into our daily language. That is the basic fundamental objective of GFCI. Yes, Mr. Naqvi, over to you.
Thank you, Kishore sir. So now we have on our panel Mr. Praveen Sharma. May I request Praveen Sharma ji? He'll be talking about key takeaways for India from African industry, African floriculture industry. A long way to go. Audience, this is very important aspect of Indian floriculture, that the people who led floriculture revolution here, they are now heading and they are managing huge floriculture farms. So when if I quote the earlier figures of when we used to talk of 3 hectare, 4 hectare, 5 hectare greenhouse as a very big greenhouse, we see numbers in 10 hectares and 20s and hundreds of hectares of greenhouses. So it's a very I think I feel proud that Indians are doing beautifully well in all the right places where the floriculture should have been. They are the right places for the floriculture. Of course, we also have all the other strengths with us. So over to you, Mr. Praveen Sharma. We would love to hear from key takeaways for India from African floriculture industry. Long way to go. Over to you.
Thank you, Jafar Bhai. Yes, so we had already some initial discussion. I will share my screen and we can host disabled participant sharing screen. Jafar sir?
Yes.
I can't share.
Okay, I'm allowing. Yes, you can share now.
Okay, thank you. Can everybody see what is there on the screen now? Global scenario?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, so we will just try to move around the globe and then reach to the specific locations one by one. So this is a typical statistics of international market where all the flowers are visible, what kind of turnover they achieve. So you can see that rose is the king of all with 396 million, and below that all other flowers come into. So most of my life and most of the floriculture professionals' life moves around the roses. Of course, most of us have got some portion of other flowers also, but roses being our mainstay. When we see the globe, what we can see that, this early 90s or rather late 80s, Europe was consuming lots of flowers and they started finding it difficult to grow because of the severe winter they were having. So that opportunity was first identified by our Israeli friends, and they started growing roses in Israel and started exporting to Europe. And later on, some of the smart Israelis, they found a footing in South America, in Ecuador and Colombia. Now, South America was being promoted by North Americans because there was a lot of drug menace going on from South America to North America. So, as an policy, the Americans decided to promote flowers in these countries so that the people get busy and they start getting into some constructive business. So they lost their own industry in California, and a lot of greenhouses they had, which dried away with time because they started getting a lot of cheap flowers from South America. Similarly, when this thing was going on, a few Israeli friends, they moved to Kenya and they found that this has got excellent climate and they can do flower growing in Kenya. So, and while they were doing in Israel, the problem with them was they had summers, they had to use fan pad cooling, and still the cost of labor was high. So the first project which was set up in Kenya was by Israeli experts. And yeah, this is the global scene where you see that we are going to approach 9 billion euro by next 2025. Right now we're in 21. Of course, we got a good shock of COVID, so you never know, but at least we'll reach 7 billion, or you never know, we again bounce back to 9. So this is the scene, and out of this 9 billion, how much is our contribution is what we have to see as a professional, as a country. So as I was explaining you, East African flower industry started in, say, mid-80s, and that was the time when since this country got this technology through technocrats who are themselves were growers, so they wanted to set up projects with appropriate technology. And appropriate technology is the key to get into any new business. You should not invest inappropriately. So when you look at the African model, especially the Kenyan model, which later on became quite popular in other African countries, is one of the best model to start any flower business or any business that way. You know, they started with a model project of 2.5 hectare and 4 hectare. When I was there in 1990, when we wanted to set up first project in Uganda, we had been to Kenya to have a look at what is going on. And that time they had just 8 to 10 projects running, and the biggest project was 4 hectares. And 90% of the projects were made with wooden greenhouses, and very appropriate way of setting up the projects, which you will see in our next slides. This is a typical project in Kenya in those days. So they will go with wooden greenhouses. The gutters will be made of plastics. The timber will be wrapped up with the plastic, you can see. And they had a very long life. The wood was treated one. So the cost used to be just $3 to $4 per square meter. And the plants, you know, thanks to our Israeli friends, they set up huge plant nurseries there for the roses. These used to be 6-month bushes. They used to make an offer to the new project. Unlike today, when we got the fast top grafts and other way rooted cuttings and also the budded plants. But those days, all the plants used to be half-year bush, 6-month old, and they were just ready to start. And this nursery was established in Kenya near Athi River. There was a project called Waridi, which is still quite a strong project there. So it was just close to that. Now you can see there is a small red tube. About this I will explain in our next video. Appropriate technology, but the right technology. See, this place they were having 3 probes. They are known as tensiometers. One is a dial type tensiometer and other 2 are mercury based tensiometers, which are very precise in giving you soil moisture tension. Based on that, the planning of irrigation is done so that the right volume of water is given to the crop, not less nor more, and right energy is consumed in giving the water to the plant. Thanks to our Israeli friends who started this first time. Now here what you see is the control room for that nursery, and below this, if you can have a look at my mouse, these are the few knobs. With these knobs, they can control very far walls and plan their scheduling of irrigation just from here. And these are known as hydraulic valves, which are not operated by electricity, but they work with water pressure. And hydraulic tubes of 8 millimeter are passed through till the last wall, and from there you can just play with knobs here and control the irrigation. Need not to go to all the distances. So this was one of the example of appropriate technology they were following. Centralized spray system. Like in the past, we used to see that we were moving with a tanker and a trolley to various greenhouses and spraying in one greenhouse, then pulling that trolley to the next greenhouse and then going to the next greenhouse. This was a centralized system where you can mix everything well, and all the greenhouses are connected from this point. So that gives you very good control over the spray in the greenhouses. Fertilizer injection, they introduced the simple injectors. Today, if we visit to many greenhouses in India, you may find that someone is pumping the A tank first, and after that, once it is over, they start pumping the B tank, which is not the right way. Both the tanks has to empty simultaneously, and it has to be done at the right cost. So these are the some basics, but appropriate and right, and they were doing it those days. You can see here that this is a typical wooden greenhouse, the treated poles, and the soil has been mixed with a rock phosphate. Now, the beauty is that this is a fusion of Israeli and Indian concepts. When we set up this project first time in Uganda, we had Israeli consultants, and in Israel they face a salt problem, and the water is saline, the pH is always on the higher side. So their mind was how to bring down the pH. Whereas in Africa, the soils are a bit acidic. And if you use those fertilizers which bring down the pH, then you have a very serious problem. So this gentleman, though he was our consultant, he was offering consultancy to other projects also. He did something there in Israeli way. The pH went down as low as 3.5 to 4, and the plant started suffering. He came rushing to us that what did you apply to raise the pH? Then we had to give him that this is a common thing which we do. And the project where I was engaged was Sugar Corporation of Uganda Limited, which had a lot of agronomists and a lot of sugarcane was being grown there. So this was a routine thing, which was a basal dose, which was to be applied. And have a look at the beauty of this wooden greenhouse. Very good water conveyance, very good rainwater harvesting. Water used to be collected and reused. At the same time, in the center, you will see few pink sheets. Now, these pink sheets I'm still longing for, because these were known to raise the stem length by 10 to 12 centimeter for many varieties. And it was one of the pink sheet which we used to receive from Israel from a company called Erase Thermoplastic. After that, it was quite expensive those days, $4 a square meter. But after that, nobody has come up with this. So this could be something which we have to look at. This is President of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Museveni. He came to inaugurate this project, and yes, I am seen there. And if you have to again salute some global Indians, the man with the dark glasses is Mr. Mahendra Bhai Mehta. He is someone who is a tycoon, a big industrialist in Africa, and they have the 25,000 acres of sugarcane cultivation and multiple industries. So they were the one to invest in this industry first time in Africa. So this became like an iconic project. Whenever any dignitary from any country used to visit, the president used to bring him to our project to show that how he is growing roses and exporting, since this was the first time. This is another project in Kenya, another design, very simple design you can see, but the quality of roses inside is amazing. So what matters is the quality of the product which is being exported. So when it reaches to the international market, the buyer does not know where it is grown. They just look at the product, and product should look the presentable one. So this is one of the recent projects. Even now, this project existing in Kenya, somewhere in Thika region. This is how the project looked. Very rich crop inside. Yeah, so here now this is something again, though the project was low cost, but the technical things were done very religiously every day. Now this gentleman, you can see there is a white syringe here. Now this syringe there is a probe inside which has got a porcelain cup, and syringe is connected with that cup. So you suck the water through the root zone and find out the EC, pH, nitrate levels of that water to decide what you are supposed to apply, how you are going to take care of the crop, because that is the water which is rightly available at the root zone. And that probe porcelain cup is in the 30 centimeter zone where the roots are plenty. So this is something, a routine practice which was done. So you can see that when you invest so much of money, but you don't look at these basic parameters on a daily basis and you don't monitor your crop, then that money is of no use. That high investment is of no use. Now we come to the present era. Since that was the beginning, wooden structures and 5 hectare, 4 hectare, 2 hectare small projects. But since people started seeing the potential of this industry, and with time, the European, especially our Dutch friends, started realizing that growing flowers in their country is going to be difficult. Their area started shrinking, and demand was always increasing in Europe. So they found that now Kenya should be their base for, in fact, East Africa in general should be their base for production. So project size started increasing from 4 hectares, started getting to 10 hectares, 15 hectares. As on today, the thumb rule is that project, when you want to invest, it should be minimum 20 hectares plus, not less. And expansion also they take in the same volume, 20 hectare, 30 hectare, and so on. So this is a typical situation. But now the level of management has increased drastically as compared to what used to be in the past. Now, since we are exporting huge volumes to Europe, and European consumer is very smart, they want to see the source of their product, how it is being grown, what has to be, what are the procedures they are following, what kind of insecticide, is it poisonous? So then you have to follow certain compliances. So these are listed here, like integrated pest management, integrated nutrient management, then project management. Each farm, all of them mostly go with ERPs. Then they have to maintain excellent audit records. And then carbon accounting is something new which has come up. When you are exporting, even there are non-governmental organizations in the developed countries who keep on complaining about carbon footprints of these flowers which travel long distances. So when you show this accounting, you find that growing roses in Europe is always expensive, and it will give more carbon footprint than what you do in Kenya. It has been repeatedly proven, but it is one has to maintain those records. Now in Kenya also they have a flower council called Kenya Flower Council, which is doing lots and lots of hard work to maintain these parameters for the growers, and also encourage the growers, train them. A lot of training is given to growers at different level. So look at the records which they have to make. I will just read them out. Agrochemical stock check record, spray schedule, greenhouse spray record. If they get into any greenhouse, this greenhouse must have a proper record that when, what was sprayed and for what. Spray operators record, then blood level record of the sprayers. Sometimes they check if there is some negative effect of the spray which they are making. Spray supervisors logbook, sprayer machines logbook, water usage record, how much water has been consumed, that also has to be recorded. Fertilizer application record. There is a norm in a given year how many grams per square meter of fertilizer has to be applied in nitrogen, phosphorus, potash. Stock inspection record, empty containers of chemical waste record. Now you have some insecticide you have sprayed, now where that empty box has been thrown. So that also has to be very nicely recorded somewhere. So these are the levels of project management which has reached. Even in carbon accounting, for every project, they look at various activities which are being done, like business travel. Here you see video conferencing and web-based meeting. It can be, like right now we are doing. If we had to have a conference, all of us were flying to certain location. hiring hotels and traveling all the distances, parking our cars and getting inside. A lot of carbon footprints would have created. So by doing this, we are saving on that. Like that, different activities are uh, taken care of. So this also has to be maintained in all the flower farms. The like if you have a 20-hectare farm, there are certain norms which will be checked by auditor. If they visit 5 farms and they find certain farm is managing with just 5 horsepower of pump, whereas other farms is using 15 horsepower pump for feeding the same kind of acreage, then it gets negative marks for that particular farm. So then they have to improvise on every audit. They have to improvise. These are typical modern designs which are now most popular in Africa. We call them Gothic arch design. And this is what I always dream that India also we must have this kind of designs where we have bigger volume on the top. It has to have Gothic top. Our designs are mostly suppressed arch designs which generate bit of heat and air movement is not that good. So there are quite a few companies have started making this kind of greenhouses in our country. So this is something now it's one of the most popular design in all over Africa. This white strips, what you see on the top of the greenhouse, is another thing which we don't use that frequently, but this adds on to the life of the plastic. All the contact points of the plastic are painted white to keep that portion cool, and the deterioration of plastic does not take place on all the contact points. So this is something also it should be. It's a routine there. Every project wherever new plastic sheet is put, religiously it is painted white. It's in the routine system, which in our case we just avoid it, but it should be done very strictly. That adds on to the life of plastic, the cladding material, because here these are the places from where it gets torn. The in the left corner, what you see is a big brain of Indian floriculture. You will see him after some time. He is Mr. Santosh Kulkarni. So this is an integrated pest management concept. Now in India also we are following a lot these sticky traps for various insects. But there is another thing which is now again quite mandatory almost for every project in Africa is to go with biological control. And almost every project has got its own biological control lab. Now this is a typical lab. You have to dedicate a greenhouse of around say 500 square meter or 1000 square meter and grow certain other vegetables. Like here, the grower has grown some brinjal, and brinjal is a host plant for predator mites. So predator mites get hosted there, they multiply in big numbers, and these white threads which are there, they carry the predator mite to the top and get collected into this small boxes. And these boxes are later on taken to the hot spot in the greenhouses where the spider mite issues are more. And you find your greenhouses very healthy and green without any application of insecticides. And this is how the audit takes place. The international, all the supermarkets, they have the technical auditors who will pay a visit and see all the processes which are taking place. They may come and ask any worker, any supervisor what he is doing, and that supervisor worker has to answer very smartly that what exactly he is doing and why he is doing. Like if they get into irrigation room and there is irrigation foreman, he says I am running the wall for say 25 minutes in X greenhouse. So his question will be why 25 minutes? Why not 20 minutes? Why not 30 minutes? So he has to answer it scientifically that he found it, the water stress was this much, and if I give 25-minute water, the stress level will reach to the saturation level, and I'll stop it so that next 2 days I need not to give. So there has to be a very justified answer for every activity which is taking place in your greenhouse. And that has to come from your worker and the supervisor, not you. So the biggest challenge is you have to percolate all the knowledge to the grassroots level. Now, integrated nutrient management is another thing which is done in some of the farms where the worms are left into the ongoing cultivation, and the worms, earthworms, they convert it into a good manure, and it's a live, it's an in situ process where it is done inside the mulch, and it does also very successful job. You can save on to the fertilizer since you are using this kind of system. Mulching is another popular activity which even in India we follow a lot these days. low cost, appropriate technology. Now, this is a typical post-harvest center in Ethiopia at high altitude. Since at high altitude they don't have high temperatures, so they have gone with a simple, little bigger size greenhouse with a it's a polycarbonate sheet with some light vents open from the top. These are two smart floriculture professionals, Mr. Naule and Mr. Sunil Chaudhary from Ethiopia. Of course, they are now in other locations. The technology to the highest. Right now, what you see is on the right, the red color is a bunch making machine, which has got a photo scanner. So when you put your flowers, it will scan the opening stages, stem length, and based on that, it will be segregating and then later on bunching, wrapping, and putting it on a conveyor to take it to the cold store, the red one. And this is left side is a manual system. So you can always have a combination of both the systems during the peak Valentine hours. If you have issues with the workers, you can count on this machine because it has got very fast speed and it is more mechanical. Yeah, this one is not astronaut. He is an ordinary worker who is spraying chemical in the greenhouse. This is another mandatory thing for a worker to spray in the greenhouse. He has to be very well protected. And there are very clear protocols which one has to follow when they do this activity in the greenhouse. There are two things. One is that he has to be well protected. And then there has to be a display on the gate of the greenhouse mentioning that if you are spraying X chemical, WHO has recommended certain re-entry time for every insecticides. So when they spray, it will be mentioned that this particular one is 4 hours re-entry time. So after the spray, 4 hours, nobody is supposed to enter into those greenhouses to maintain a good hygiene and health for the workers who are using it. Now, this is a big takeaway for our Indian greenhouse growers that we hardly go with such kind of protectives. Of course, our workers also at times resist using this kind of protectives because it makes very hot and difficult for them. But this should be made mandatory for them to use because it's a slow poison. You know, insecticides when they get into even small volume can make your life hell after a long duration. So this is something which is compulsory there. Of course, training the Kenyan workers, African workers in general are very fast learners and very smart, hardworking. That's why our boys are doing wonders there, joining hands with them. This is one of our project. You can see how smartly she is handling. She has got an apron, she has got a hand glove. Now this farm has got 600 workers. So the biggest challenge for the managers there is to ensure that every individual when gets inside the farm has got a well-defined job, and when it moves out, it has achieved something. And he should also have a feeling that by end of the day, he has done something good. So a lot of training, lot of appraisal is done. This is one of the award ceremony of similar farm, which we used to manage. We can see all our top professionals are from India. Mr. Santosh Kulkarni just behind me is not visible. Mr. Jadhav, Mr. Sunil Kadam, so Mr. Tukaram, all of them are from us. Mr. Arvind Patil. This project had received the Best Grower Award from Sainsbury's of UK, and Sainsbury's does the same kind of audit which I explained you. They come and they do audit for all the farms. So this farm was adjudged one of the best farm. Yeah, I was lucky to receive on behalf of this company called Prima Rosa. It was in 2012. These are the smart teams. So I will just talk about the comparison of Kenya, Ethiopia, and India, which is very interesting. And this is 2011. They had exported 523 million US dollar worth fresh flowers. Ethiopia, which is a late entrant, which got into around 2001 and 2, they have exported 200 million worth. And India's export since last so many years has been 7 to 10 million US dollar. Now, when we see the exports from these farms, a single farm exports roughly 10 to 12 million euros worth comfortably. It's always about 10 million. So you can say that any farm, any typical Kenyan farm has got almost 20 to 30% more export than the entire country of India. So that shows that there's a lot of potential we have, and lot of knowledge, information is available with us. How to make use of it is what a challenge we have in India. As I say, Indian professionals are commanding more than 70% of flower production in Africa. It is there is nobody can question this 70% claim. They are very rich with knowledge, technology, information with respect to top growing technologies. They are exposed to what is happening in international flower market. They know the trends. Now India has to think how this great pool of knowledge can be best utilized for development of Indian floriculture. India's efforts in the last 1 decade have drastically failed with reference to subsidies by NHM. This is my take. I was never happy with the way it was going. Indian flower from Kenya. So these are the powerful guys from Africa. You can see cheerful, very confident, rich with knowledge, rich with information, and great pride they have with themselves. And we also feel proud of every individual who is contributing there very constructively. And this is our Indian branch of Indian floriculture professionals who are now holding fort here, and they are now busy in making this industry highly profitable. Right in the center, you see is Mr. Pandit Shikare, who recently bought an Audi with his hard work and good business he did in last Valentine. Similarly, all of them, they have reached to great heights. So maybe in one of the next webinar, we are going to bring their success stories, that how to be successful in Indian flower business. There's a lot more, but I think I'll close on to these points, and I leave the floor open for the questions if at all they are there.
Thank you, Praveenji. There are of course questions. Abnor Chin has asked how we can move forward from five, from that is roses, mums, carnation, gladiolus, and gerbera. These top 5 flowers towards the summer flowers, lisianthus and others. So is Abnor Chin? Abnor Chin would like to have your comment on this.
Mr. Kishore.
Yeah, maybe. This question is multiple flowers, and mostly since we are into roses, so if I have to speak about roses, I will explain him that if he wants to go with a five flowers.
I believe Kishore Rajan can probably tell us, because I believe KF is already into it.
Yeah, they are into.
Are you there? If you are there, you would like to answer, Mr. Kishore Rajans?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So traditionally in India, I think rose, gerbera, carnation, mums, yes, they are quite popular. Also because the technology and the competency is available there. So people are going on a massive scale with these 5 crops. But we are also coming up with innovative varieties like calla lily, echinacea, geraniums. Recently, we have introduced, let's say, some varieties of limonium hybrids from Danziger. So we are trying to give novelty species of the varieties to the growers in India, but it's not picking up since we strongly believe in doing what we are the best in doing. But we are hopeful we will give continuing the different species, different varieties to the people.
Okay, thank you, Kishore. Anyone else would like to add to it? Meanwhile, we have another question. This question is from Shiv Shakti Florica. Shiva, Praveen sir, very good explanation in India, and we need more change in cultivation, need to train our growers. I think that's it. It's a comment.
Yes.
Mr. Muhammad Abbas has asked, is this the latest data? In the starting, you had given certain data.
That 9 billion data is old data, but that talks about till 2025 projections. But other data was up to 2011, and even now the trends are same. We are still into 7 to 10 million US dollar export category, India, and Kenya is fluctuating between 500 to 700 million US dollars. Yeah.
Okay, Shiva has asked another question. Please explain steps to follow in India to achieve like African growing? What is change in needed? What are the changes needed in NHB and NHM, sir? Sir, this is one topic that we may avoid at this moment. Other than the government, yes, I would like to have your comment. And it seems Anand would like to make comment. He's laughing.
No, I will answer Mr. Shiva very simply that Anandji is on mute and is still talking.
Anandji, please unmute yourself. Anand sir, you have to slowly swipe. Yes, now it is unmuted.
Yeah, what I want to say is, if we want cultivation in India, same as like in Africa, there is basic difference, as Praveen sir told, it's a climate difference. I had been to Kenya and I have seen there around the year climate is very good, which is not in India. So climate, soil, and basically the cultivation practices aspects are more important to change to be like them, and not with the NHB and NHN. Those are the financial institutes which are providing the subsidies. They are not related to the cultivation. So I think the question is a little bit wrong, it seems.
No, but I will answer him. See, in India, if you are a grower and you want to be successful, first and foremost thing is you don't look at any of the government agency, because government agency, we are here to serve the government rather than taking something from them. So that is the attitude we as a professional, we always have kept. I have done quite a few projects, but I always say, please don't go with a ball to government to ask for any subsidy. Try to prove your industry is successful, and it has to be proven there is a potential into it. But right now, as I was mentioning, quite a few of our technopreneurs who are doing successfully well, they are success stories. So if you are a grower and if you see a success story, try to see what he has done, how he has come up with the industry. Right now, like we have got cooperative societies in Pune, we have got one of the most successful cooperative group of growers called Pauna Floriculture Sangh, which is now one of the biggest flower producer, and they have got a joint capacity to even export. And these are small farmers, but it's a group now, and they are taking all the international certification also for the international market. One of our professional, Mr. Jay Singh, is working with them. So yes, you have to look at the success stories and try to get inspired by them and multiply into a bigger way. And as a ISFP, we always welcome those who want to have a visit to such successful farms. We organize such visits time to time.
I think there's an important question. Mr. Basavaraj Hundkar has asked why Indian exports are on decline as per the graph. So I would say, Basavaraj, this is it's a global market. So it's a price sensitive market. It just depends on how much is our production cost, how much we can afford to, at what rate we can afford, and what are the prevailing international prices. So it's as simple at any day. There may be the reversal of this trend. So that is what it goes off. And if Kishore sir or Praveen ji, you would like to add to it, why are Indian exports on decline as per your graph?
As far as planting material is concerned, the export is increasing year on year. So I don't see any issues there. But with the flowers, yes, I think I will put in a different way. We are really considering two different factories, like in Africa, or let's say the countries on the equator. They have a complete different set of climatic conditions versus India. We have very extreme situations like hard summers. Then in winter, you have high humidity, no light. In monsoon, we have only winter season where we can have a good climate. And then our farmers are really harvesting the potential, and they are exporting fantastic amount of flowers to different countries. But we are limited to that window. I think Mr. Praveen will be more able to explain it.
Yes. See, issues are very simple. If you want to get into export market, you have to have a quality of produce which can be sold comfortably in those markets. So what is happening is, like in India now, we are a huge country. So we cannot limit ourselves to the existing traditional growing zones like Pune, Bangalore, and there was also we had quite a few projects in Delhi. But right now we have to look at the high altitude locations, like in Northeast. One of our professional, Mr. Rajesh Prasad, had set up quite a wonderful project. Now the quality of that project was coming very well, but due to the logistic, they had an issue. In the past, we used to look at the location which is close to the international airports. Thanks to the infrastructure, as on today, international airports are increasing all over the country. So we have to locate the locations which is got at higher altitude. You know, these are above 1,000 or 1,200 meter or 1,800 meters, so that we get the right bud sizes and quality year round. At the same time, we can ship the flowers to the international airport nearby and export to the destinations. So we have quite a few locations like that where we can always set up large scale farms. And of course, the existing farms closed down, a lot of them. Reason being that they were at the premium, high value land. You know, land which is costing you 1 crore an acre, you cannot grow flowers anymore. It has to convert it into some other business. That was one of the major reason, because even the labor started becoming distinct. Like I talk about Marvel, all the big projects, we never had a MIDC in the past in MIDC floriculture. But today we have General Motor, we have JCB sharing border with our flower farm. So JCB has got a different labor laws, and we have a different way of doing things. So everybody would like to jump into the other side of the fence. So a lot of challenges the small farmer and the big farmers have faced. Now it's time to identify new locations. Thanks to the infrastructure which has come wonderful. So we have to look at those 1,200 meter and above level, and we can be the world leader in flower business. It's only a matter of time.
Can I also add something, Mr. Makri?
I
Yes,
think
Hari.
I can see Mr. Hari Subramanian is showing me. I believe it's.
Yes, yes. Just from, you know.
So, let's welcome Mr. Hari Subramanian now, and he will be talking about his CEO of Indie Fresh Limited, United Kingdom. Mr. Subramanian will be telling us about future trends in UK flower imports. Meanwhile, if you have a comment on all these questions, Mr. Subramanian, you can give opening remarks and please continue.
Just from a market perspective, you know, before I kick off my presentation, which is very brief, you know, what I would like to add with regard to decline of Indian exports is that, you know, this is basically driven by the market. You know, if you see what is happening in Kenya and Ethiopia and compare the weather with what's happening in India, you know, the demand now in the Western world is mostly fueled by the supermarkets. You know, it has changed in the last 15 years. Way back in the 90s, you know, it was the wholesale market and the florist who had most of the trade, but now supermarkets account for more than 50%. And, you know, the way the whole business is structured, you know, with supermarkets, you know, you need to be able to supply to them 52 weeks of the year. And that is where Kenya and Ethiopia has got a huge advantage over us. Unfortunately, we've got very severe summer. We have got a monsoon, you know, again, in the growing areas. Most of the growing is concentrated for roses in Pune and Bangalore, where the monsoon is quite severe. So we are constrained and we cannot supply, you know, 52 weeks of the year. And so what happens is, you know, we do not have one aspect, you know, a major component of the market, which is the supermarkets. And you know, and Kenya does very well, Ethiopia does very well, Colombia, Ecuador also, you know, for the high-end bouquets, you know, they also do very well, and so does Netherlands. So I think we'll have to sort of look at India, you know, and see what we can do. Like, we contribute a great to the growing. You know, we are literally leaders, like Mr. Sharma very rightly pointed out. 70% of growing in Kenya is controlled by us. So I think we have to take a relook at Indian floriculture to see, you know, how we can maximize and possibly export other flowers. So that's my bit on why our exports is doing. I think we're very hardworking. I think we've got good support as well. You know, but we are working with, you know, some serious constraints. So that could be a possible reason as well.
And one more, the most important aspect, that since last 7-8 years, the domestic market has grown up quite well.
Right.
And there are times when we receive a higher price in domestic market as compared to even if we export to UK or Japan. There are times, you know, the wedding seasons are becoming more lavish. So the domestic market and India's economy now is being eyed by the world. Even we are getting a lot of pressure on government to start importing roses in India, which is right now is highly, there is a, you can say, non-tariff barriers there. They have to pay a heavy duty if we have to import roses in India. So yes, they are looking India as one of the market. And if you look at the last 1.5 months when the wedding season just came back after the lockdown, the flower price zoomed to as high as 25 rupees a flower in the wedding season, which was one of the highest peak which we received in last quite a few years. But it was because also there was low production. So, but yes, it is main is the domestic market has also come up quite well in India.
But still, I have a concern that we have not moved further than the flower consumption only for the weddings. We have to generate demand for the flowers apart from wedding and on the year-round basis. I think we all have to work together to generate that demand on day-to-day basis. That's the major concern.
Kishore, sir,
that's where our council will come in now.
Yeah, of course.
That's where council is coming.
Yeah.
It will be a presentation in the very next session after this question answer session. I think we should go to Mr. Hari Subramaniam. I would like to just acknowledge the questions raised. We may not discuss. We may try to discuss it after Mr. Hari Subramaniam's talk. So there's a question from Mr. Vishal Kothari, Agrod Solutions Private Limited. Any feasibility study available where flower growers can explore without subsidies? It's a very important whether we can really work without subsidies. That is, we will be taking it up in the question answer session after the presentation. Then Shrikant Reddy Desai has actually a pointed question to Mr. Kishore Rajanji. It would be of great work and achievement for farmers like us who could be advised with potential flower crops that are in export demand and suit our climatic conditions. I think Kishore sir, you may answer it once it comes to your presentation. Shrinika Reddy from again this Dasari has asked the same question to Mr. Praveen sir. How could you come out of the climatic challenge we are facing? I believe you have already answered it. Redmi Note Pro, somebody has anonymously sent this question. Why do Indian people living have so much knowledge, work abroad, and why not in India? Well, this is one topic on which you can probably discuss for days and months, but yeah, there are certain hard things. So I'll just acknowledge the questions. May I now request Mr. Hari Subramanian to kindly start your presentation. We are all eager to hear you.
Mr. Naqvi, I need to share my screen.
Okay.
So probably I'll need your help to do that.
Yeah, it is allowed. You can just press the share screen button. On the computer, you just press share screen button now.
Can you see my screen?
No, you need to first open the file before sharing the screen. You need to first open the file, then share screen, then select the opened file. Otherwise, it will not be shared.
Okay. 1 second. Can you see my screen now, Mr. Naqvi?
Yes, you can make it full screen.
Yeah, 1 second. Can you see?
Yes, please continue.
Okay, let me start with a very brief introduction of what we do. So I'm based in the UK, and we have got an importing company in the UK called IndieFresh, which goes back to the early 90s. And basically, our USP is Indian flowers. Though I've dabbled in flowers from Kenya and Ethiopia before, but most of what we do is with regard to Indian flowers, and we are an importer and specialist in Indian roses into the UK market. Our market here is mostly with supermarkets, and we also have got a brand called Stag, which is in the wholesale market. So we work with the wholesalers and with supermarkets. In 2012, we set up a backend in India called Ornamental. And Ornamental basically is an exporter, and we are a route to market for small and marginal farmers in India. So Mr. Praveen Sharma talked a lot about Marvel and MIDC. So we work with about 30 to 40 small growers there, starting with 1 acre to about 5 to 6 acres. And, we export and through Orion Flora and IndieFresh, we supply supermarkets in the UK. We do significant work during our peaks. India has got a huge advantage with weather when it comes to the peaks. The peaks in the Western world fortunately fall during Indian winter. So we have got an advantage there. And that is one of the reasons, why our industry has also survived to some extent, is because the work that we have done in roses, especially during Valentine's. And Orion Flora basically is a back end. 2 years back, we also have started a venture in India. I very much agree with what Mr. Rajans has been saying, that we need a culture of buying flowers in India. It doesn't have to be gifting, it doesn't have to be for weddings, but on a day-to-day basis, we need consumption in India. That is what has driven the whole market in the West as well. The supermarkets today account for 52%, and and most of that is walk-in trade. So people on a day-to-day basis, use flowers at home. During the weekly shop, they pick up their flowers, and a normal family will end up buying 2 to 3 bunches a week. And so, in just small country, 6.5 crores, the total value of flowers is about 2.2 billion. So the potential of what we can do with day-to-day, buying in India, the market is really huge. India has got so much that we can do when the culture will change, where people will start looking at flowers also like they start looking at fruits and veg. And now supermarkets in the last 10 years also have started in India. You've got some very nice supermarkets there. And, the category can be introduced. We have started that, but it's slow work. And it will take a few years before the culture really settles down in India. So that's who we are. And that's, basically over the last 25 years, how we have come along. And our focus now also is India now, as much as UK. A very brief market scenario to give you a background of UK, but we can't talk of UK without really talking about Netherlands, where everything happens. So largest exporter of flowers, they grow 3% of the world production, but they export a lot, almost 80%. So they have 52% of the global market share when it comes to revenue. And 2017, the total turnover was 6 billion. Probably Mr. Sharma and I, we have got different sources, so there might be a slight difference, a few percentage here or there, but mostly these figures are accurate. And Netherlands, as we all know, most of the transactions are done through the auctions, and they transact more than 100,000 transactions per day. Now, coming to UK, the flower market in UK, like I said, is at 2.2 billion, but this is at a retail level. So this is the revenue generated without taxation, is about 2.2 billion. 52% of this market is controlled by supermarkets. Now, supermarkets have done a very good job way back in the 90s when they first started. It took them about 5 years before they settled down, but they have come leaps and bounds in the last 20 years. And now UK supermarkets lead worldwide when it comes to technical quality revenue. It's only in 2019 now US market has caught up with UK, but they're the biggest sector worldwide when it comes to supermarkets. Average spend per person in UK is £28 as compared to £8 way back in 1984. And one of the factors that we see now in flowers is the online, market. So online sales is gradually increasing everywhere worldwide, more so in the UK. We have got lots of new businesses which have come up. Traditionally, online in the beginning was done through supermarkets, Waitrose, Marks and Spencer, and Next had a major share of the online market. But in the last 5 to 7 years, lots of new brands have now come in. Moonpig, Serena Flowers, Bloom and Wild, which is a new business which has come, which is purely online. And you know, they have come up with a very innovative way of selling flowers. It's called the letterbox flowers, where the flowers are actually sent in a box which can be posted through the letterbox, and you also get a sheet which tells you how to make the bouquet at home. So their market share is really growing, and they are in the top 5 in the UK now. So online sales has got huge potential. Most of what I will talk will be from a market perspective. Sorry. Okay, now basically to just give you a perspective on the UK market, where the UK market is per segment. As you can see, 52% is multiple retailers, which are the supermarkets, the florist, 23%. The walk-in trade has moved from the florist to the supermarkets, and the florists now are left as specialists. So they do arrangements in various institutions, weddings, funerals. So that is where, you know, where the specialized work is required, is where the florists are. You got direct mail, 13%, which also includes online. And then, of course, you got garden centers and market stalls. So, and then you move on to the, you know, retailers, the supermarkets. You see that Tesco is the biggest one in the UK, accounting for 32%, followed by Sainsbury at 15. Then you got Asda, Morrison's at 12, and the others. So we got you know, Marks and Spencer at 12 and Waitrose 6. So almost every single supermarkets are selling flowers. So the category is well established here. The discounters who have actually come in the last 10 years, like Lidl and Aldi, are also doing very well. You should get some very good value for money there, some very beautiful bouquets. And they are slowly taking market share away from the big 4, which is Tesco, Sainsbury, Asda, and Morrison's. So now, you know, you are looking at product, what actually sells. As a product, of course, the biggest seller worldwide is roses. But if you look at the what's actually selling in supermarkets, it is the mixed product, which is by far the largest. So a mixed bouquet, which can comprise of roses, chrysanthemums, carnations, lilies, gerberas, Germany, so with fillers in as well. So that accounts for 54%. Roses are at, you know, 11%, and so on. You also see there's something called aqua, because now the trend is a lot of supermarkets, especially the higher end ones, supermarkets like Waitrose, Marks and Spencer, who are selling bouquets in well-designed bags, paper bags, and these bouquets are actually come in a water bubble. They're very good, and they can be used for gifting, or of course you can also use them, you know, at home for personal use. And here the similar information is in a bar chart. It tells you within each supermarket, like in M&S, what is selling well, Tesco, what is selling well. And you can see that mixed bouquets are the sellers everywhere. And if you look at Marks and Spencer, then you see that the aqua bouquets also sell very well. So that gives you a feel of what actually is selling within each of these supermarkets. You know, I'm focusing more on the supermarkets because, you know, that is where most of the business is done. That is where the growth, you know, the growth worldwide that has been driven, especially in countries like Kenya, Ethiopia, is all fueled by supermarkets. And that category, I think, will keep on growing. and so which is of course very good news for us. This is very briefly what actually happens in UK. Where do the flowers in UK come from? Mostly, as you can see, most of them come from Netherlands. Now, Kenya and Colombia also export directly to the UK, but a lot of the charters go into Europe, and they come to Netherlands, and from there they are trucked. Most of the supermarket flowers mostly come from Holland. So Holland still accounts for most of the flowers coming in. And I've just mentioned a couple of other countries like Kenya and Colombia who are big here. This is just to give you a feel of what is happening in UK with regard to each of these flowers. Now I've only selected some of the big names. So these are the big five, and I've also included orchids and Gypsophilia, and it tells you where they are actually coming from. And India, as you can see, is there in the roses. Indian roses are going into UK supermarkets, but the share is very low. So, so like Mr. Sharma said, we've got huge potential there to increase our share within the retailers in UK, Europe. Possibly America would be a big leap, because America is, South America is very close, and they've got a huge advantage when supplying to United States. But when it comes to East Asia, Europe, I think India still has got potential, and probably, we can have a relook at, what India should be doing in the next 5-10 years. So now, where do I see the future is? The future is very obvious. Is going to be with the retailers. I think their market share will grow. And one of the things that the supermarkets will have to compete with is going to be online sales. Online sales is growing on a yearly basis, and the pandemic has actually seen a big shift towards online for most categories, and especially for flowers. People are reluctant to walk into supermarkets. Florists, of course, due to the lockdown, right now we're in lockdown in the UK, and florists are actually shut. So they are classified as non-essentials, but supermarkets can sell flowers. So supermarket category will grow. And of course, I think their competition will come from online, which will grow. Subscription services through the new businesses also has grown in 2020. So, like I said, you can see that the florist wholesalers and garden centers will make a comeback, after the pandemic is over. But, we'll have to wait and see. Most projections are that, by the end of 2021, we should see some kind of a normalcy in Western Europe, especially UK. Most projections data, if you look at technicals that is available within Google, 30% of most flower sales worldwide is projected to be online. So that is a huge growth. And I think we will see that growth in India as well. India is a very tech savvy country, and in the urban centers especially, people are very happy to buy online. And we will see that, the flower sales within India also will grow online. In the UK, the way the online market is structured is that most of the portals are owned by the businesses, but most of the bookings are still done by third-party repackers. That business is also growing. So demand for raw material will also grow as the online sector grows. Looking into the future, how do we actually get, be a part of that marketplace? We have to look at, obviously sustainability, what Mr. Praveen Sharma very eloquently talked about, the use of chemicals and fertilizers. And of course, recently for the last 5 years in the UK, the trend of growing locally also has grown, but then you've got huge constraints. Like in fruit and veg, have you got farm to table, locally grown flowers, daffodils, summer flowers, Gladioli, locally grown lilies also have a very good market share during the summer months. But roses, talking about India, especially roses, cannot be effectively grown in the UK because of the larger carbon print and the increased expenditure due to heat and lighting. So the looking at the perspective with regard to India vis-a-vis UK, I think the potential is there if we can, like Mr. Sharma said, look at new growing areas, go away from the city, look at land where growing is possible, then I think the whole business can be regenerated, and slowly, gradually, we can make a comeback. And if you add the Indian market and the potential that the Indian market has in the next decade, where if we can bring along a culture change where people start consuming flowers normally, and if we can also get the category settled down in supermarkets as they grow, I think the market will grow, and we can also create a new market. India is weddings and gifting mostly, but we can definitely create a new market for Indian flowers within India as well. But finally, certification is very important if you're going to work with retailers. Sustainability and certification around agricultural practices, and especially ethical labor practices, is very important if we are looking at the Western market, especially the supermarkets. And I think that would be good practices even for growing in India. So I would like to conclude there. And if there are any questions, I'm very happy to take them, or we can put it to the whole panel. Thank you very much, Mr. Naqviji.
Thank you, Subramanian sir. You may stop sharing the screen now.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Can you still see my screen?
Yeah, it is still showing. Okay. So it's gone now. Thank you so much. Mr. Hari Subramaniam has talked really in depth about UK flower market. Indeed, I had, when you were doing the presentation, I was writing down the questions for you. But next slide of yours was always answering my previous question. So I only ended up with one slide where the answer is interesting for the Indian flower grower. I thought that I may like to ask you this question about the screen where you show me roses, chrysanthemum, carnations, sprays, lilies, which are the major sources for the UK market. And I find that in roses case, India is mentioned, and somehow in others we find Indian flowers missing. So elaborate as to what may be the primary reason. Is it because you need the volumes which we are not producing, or is it some other issues?
And I think, it's basically the volumes and the fact that, we should be able to supply it on a round the year basis. If you look at chrysanthemums, we need it in very high volumes. The freight for chrysanthemums is very high. So it's volumes vis-a-vis, being competitive in the marketplace. Gerberas unfortunately cannot be transported. We have done so many trials over the last few years. We also did a successful supply to Tesco in 2011 for Gerberas. But unfortunately, over the 4 or 5 months that we supplied, we had major issues with necking, so which was basically a transport issue. And Gerberas have to be packed individually to be able to successfully transport it. And then, of course, again, it's come back to pricing and competitiveness. Same again with lilies. We tried lilies, and it's basically, having regular supplies around the year, which means going back to the weather and the constraints we have with that. and then being competitive in the marketplace. So with roses, we are competitive. We can supply 6 months of the year, up to 9 months of the year. Monsoon is a major constraint, because our rains are a lot heavier, and sunlight is a major issue during the monsoon months. So roses, we are definitely competitive, and so we still have a market share. But for the rest, we have to go back to the drawing board.
I have these 2-3 comments. One is, of course, from MB Nakvi. He wants to look if there would be any long-term impact on flower imports after the Brexit, and what are the preferred flowers and colors. I believe this is already answered. Mr. Waqar Rohila has asked, what is the procedure and licenses required to export flowers to UK?
So I'll take the long-term impact of flower imports after Brexit. With regard to India, there is no impact at all. Obviously, we are a third-party country. We are not part of the EU. So it is an import coming from India. So nothing has changed. So Brexit has got zero impact on us. What is the impact of Brexit on flower imports globally? Like most of it is coming out of Netherlands. There is additional administration, bureaucracy. There is flower passports. But I think the exporters and the industry is coping very well with it. Right now, everybody's working 24 hours in hand. So before, the entire industry was just in time. So if you wanted flowers today morning for production, they can leave Holland even at, like 3 o'clock the afternoon before. But now they have added another 24 hours just to ensure that there are no delays. But it has created issues. There will be administrative costs. It will add to increased cost eventually, which will be passed on to the consumer. So there will be a slight inflation, but not significant enough to, make a difference.
Okay. And about this comment about the license, is there any license or there is some specific procedures required to export flowers to UK? And then maybe Abnor Chin has once again asked Hari Sahib, what is the average selling price for Indian roses? It's a very pointed question, so maybe you can answer
the Indian roses prices, with regard to procedures and licenses, it is just a normal export license that you require from India. But the phytosanitary norms have increased with regard to India. So now there are 2 additional declarations we have to put on the phyto. But these are all available from APEDA in India. So, you can make inquiries there. But now these farms have to be certified at local level. Before it was only the flowers which will have to be certified, but now even the farms have to be certified. So the flowers have to be sent over to the laboratories to test for various viruses. And once you get the clearance, you are free to export. And there are no specific requirements for the UK except what is mentioned in the phytosanitary certificates. With regards to the pricing will fluctuate around the year, but the pricing for Indian flowers is very similar to the flowers from Kenya and Ethiopia. That is basically determined by the marketplace. So information, what we get from the Dutch auctions and, what the Kenyans are selling, they're very similar prices, which will fluctuate seasonally. So there is no fixed price as such, but, it's purely a demand and supply situation.
Okay, thank you, sir. I have one video, basically. Our next speaker, Mr. Santosh Kulkarni, there is some progress going on in his farm. There was a certain visitors to his farm. So he has sent a video to us. I'll try to share it. There is any problem in sharing the video. Then probably we'll go ahead to the next question, the next session. So I'm just trying to share Mr. Kulkarni's video, the message that he has sent to for our seminar.
Good morning, Mr. Nakvi. As I told you yesterday, I may not be able to join the conference, today's conference. Since we are getting a client from Europe, I have requested him to come in the morning session so that I can attend the conference and listen the presentations of our friends in floriculture industry. First of all, I would like to say Happy New Year 2021 for you and everyone in floriculture industry. Last year, 2020, was tough year. Not that bad as what we thought in March 2020. In this tough year, we learned many things. Like we always used to talk about the cost cutting, but this year we realize what is cost cutting. We used to talk about the marketing, online sales and all, but this year we realize the importance of online marketing, online sale, and this could be a revolution in floriculture industry. Most of the farms in Kenya are being managed by our friends, our Indian friends, and most of them are successful growers, general managers, farm managers, owners, directors in Kenyan floriculture industry. So we should be proud of all of them. Now, Valentine 2021 is close by. Within two weeks' time, we will be starting harvesting of flowers for Valentine. iFlora, where I am working, Valentine is most important and crucial for us because 70% of our area is a red variety. We have a variety called just now. Within 2 weeks' time, we will be starting harvesting of flowers for Valentine. This year crop looks very nice. Weather is fantastic. And fortunately, this year, the direct sale has already increased by 50 to 60%. So we are optimistic for 2021 Valentine. Only the main constraint is freight and the freight rates. That is the main constraint which we are facing since last year, April 2020. But we will face that, and this year Valentine will be definitely good for everyone. So I would like to wish Happy New Year again, and successful Valentine for everyone, and successful year 2021 in floriculture industry. Thank you very much. I will try my level best to attend the conference. Thank you very much. Good day, everyone.
So I think it was sound was clear. I would like to say thanks to Santosh Kulkarni, Managing Director of PJ iFlora, Kenya. Though he could not join, he promised that he may join anytime. So anyway, we would like to now go ahead to our next session. Before that, is there any further question? I request audience to kindly ask the questions if there is anyone. Okay, I think there's a question from Ashok Bhujbal. He's on Facebook Live. He's probably wants to ask a question to Mr. Hari.
Okay.
About do you plan to import how much flowers you are planning to import from India for this Valentine? So, okay.
Orders are still coming in. So, you know, those numbers are not certain at the minute. It has been a very challenging year, 2020. With regard to what has happened in India with COVID and exports, you know, our freight prices have really increased a lot. Kenya has the advantage of having charter flights. 90% of what Kenya exports goes out on charter flights. So that price has increased marginally, but the Indian freight prices have actually increased about 2.5 times when it comes to flowers. So it has been a very difficult year for us. So this Valentine's, orders are still coming in. So we do not have a fixed figure of, how much we will eventually export. Our prices are very high this year. So, we are trying to sell at almost twice of what we normally do. So takers will not be as much as they usually are. So we have to wait and see what happens over the next 2 weeks. And we will only have an idea of what the numbers are, early February. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Many questions on Facebook Live are basically asking about the job openings in floriculture trading or flower arrangers in the UK. I believe this part would be taken up by Mr. Anand Zamre in the very next presentation. Anand Zamre is Executive Director of National Committee on Precision Agriculture and Horticulture. He will be talking about global employment and business opportunities in protected cultivation.
Thank you,
so I believe this sums up the first session. Anybody else, if he wants to ask a question, you may add the question. We will try to answer it. Mr. Chetan Dedia from JJ Overseas has asked, what will it take to bring our great Indian overseas talent back to our country and grow over here?
From my perspective, I think it will be an explosive growth in the Indian marketplace. We have to be very practical. Unfortunately, the business will go where the market is. Today the market is in Europe, so we're all growing in Kenya. But if tomorrow the market comes to India, which is most likely will happen, India is a huge country, it's a huge market. And if the Indian flower market picks up, if the culture changes, and if we can get flowers into Indian supermarkets, which will grow, then the floriculture industry will be very, very big, and most of the talent will be back in India, working for the floriculture industry in India. I think that's what it will take. A huge growth in the Indian floriculture business.
I believe Mr. Praveen Sharma, would you like to make a comment on this? Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, it's a valid question by Chetan Bhai. See, in the last also I said how to make use of this great pool of knowledge and talent we have. So, it has to be natural. It has to be based on the practical way of doing things. So as on today, we have got quite a few professionals who came back, and we have MIDC, a lot of floriculture projects started there. So their owners who are sitting in Mumbai and they are failing to operate. So this is the new generation which is coming up and taking those greenhouses on lease and then converting them into a profitable venture. So right now we have, in fact, MIDC, you will know almost 60 to 70% projects are taken by the professionals, and they are running it. They pay the lease rent monthly, and they run the project on profitability. Of course, COVID has given a shock to all of them, but this is the trend now which is coming up. So all those who come back, they try to hire, lease some greenhouses and then convert it into a profit venture. The person who has invested also, he starts getting something instead of putting money every month into the project and getting nothing out of it. So this is a natural trend where nobody is supporting, but it is growing naturally. So hopefully with time, maybe the new greenhouses and new project also will be set up by them, because the domestic market is picking up. So there will be a natural feasibility of these projects when the cost of the greenhouse and the cost of planting material and the growing is matching and the returns are high, and our the Flower Council's efforts with time will also enhance the domestic market. Kishore, you will also say something on that, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Nakvi, I would be very happy to quote that we have already hired 2 people from Africa, one Mr. Gopal Patil and one Mr. Javed. They are with us. Javed is with us for almost now 3 years. Gopal has just came back from Africa and he has joined me. So we are very happy because these people from Africa, they are first of all good managers, or rather I will say great managers, and technically very sound. They know how to find the solution for every problem. So yes, this is a really intelligent pool we need to harvest. So thank you.
Okay, one I think you may also answer this, Mr. Kishore. Dr. Raiz Ahmed Loan, I think he has asked a question: among top cut flowers beside rose, which flowers should focus on and have potential for export from India? I think this was entire presentation of Shri Hari Subramanian was on this various aspects, at least for the UK market. But then there are alternatives available. They have export potential. Dr. Lone, I'll request you to once again go through the entire proceedings of the seminar, but then I'm asking specific this question to Kishore Rajans. What flowers do you suggest more? So please try to be brief, as we should now go to the next session.
Okay. I think apart from rose, there is a good potential for carnations, specifically spray carnations and lilies from India. Because if you talk about Ooty climate or some hilly areas in the country, you can really grow good spray carnations and good lilies, and they have good potential for export.
Yeah. So I believe, Dr. Lone, you got the answer. I would like to now thank the speakers for the first session. I'd like to, I'm just sharing. I would like to thank, first and foremost, the audience to be here, that you participated in this first session where we try to focus on 3-4 topics which are very important for the development of floriculture, and to show how Indians are performing in the global floriculture field. I'd like to thank Mr. Kishore Rajans, he's Director of KF Bioplants, and he's also Director of Growers Flower Council of India. That's a very important step. I would like to thank him as a Grower Flower Council of India Director as well. Thank you, Mr. Praveen Sharma, President of Indian Society of Floriculture Professionals, a very good and active group of floriculture professionals from India. Thank you, Mr. Praveen Sharma.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would like to thank Mr. Kulkarni, Managing Director of PJ Dave Flora Kenya. He has not yet joined, but I must thank him for sending the best wishes for the seminar. We really missed you, Mr. Kulkarni, in this seminar. Mr. Abhay Marathe could not join. He was to join us from Aquila Development Company. He is a GM in Aquila Development Company Limited. However, we missed him. I know it's year end, and for the growers to come for seminar just close to Valentine is really difficult. I would like to thank Mr. Hari Subramanian, CEO of IndieFresh Limited UK, for enlightening our audience about the UK market, as also sharing quite a few very useful information to our visitors. With this, we will be ending the first session. Question answers have been done. Audience, you can continue to ask questions using the QA panel. I would like now to invite Mr. Anand Zambre. Anand sir, please switch on your mic and camera. Mr. Zambre is Executive Director of National Committee on Precision Agriculture and Horticulture. He has been very active player of Indian floriculture industry almost ever since it began in the mid-90s or early 90s. Mr. Zambre would be taking up a very important gist, I would say, of this seminar, the global employment and business opportunities in protected cultivation. Before coming to Mr. Zambre, for the audience and for those students who have joined us, I'll quote an incident that happened with me. I was participating in landscape exhibition in Singapore one of the gentlemen approached me and said that they would like to have an expert working, some person from India to work in landscape project and horticulture project in Singapore. And then I said that you already have such a developed horticulture technology. You already have vertical gardening. At that time, I'm talking in early 20s, 2000, something like in 2007 or 2006. I said, you already have so much developed, and how you feel that the Indian talent could add value to your horticulture? And he told me, Mr. Naqvi, as of today, I'm not saying it is true or false, this is what I was told. Mr. Naqvi, as of today, there is no Singaporean studying horticulture anywhere in the world. So horticulture is one subject where we have to get people from outside. We are willing to give visa and other supports as well. Okay, it's a long time back, but for those students who are serious about floriculture, high value horticulture, and whose fundamental knowledge is clear. It's very important, I'm saying, the degree does not work in floriculture. It is your fundamental knowledge of the subject. You have to be master of your subject. So there is job opportunities, and as you can see over here, Pravinji has shared such beautiful pictures of those who are taking my country's name. They are shining stars of India, doing excellent work in floriculture all over the globe. So over to you, Mr. Anand Zambre.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I will just share the screen.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm not able to share it. It is written host disabled.
I'll just allow it. Yes.
Yeah.
Now we try again, sir. Once again.
Yeah, can you see?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, good afternoon all, especially the students. I was told that many students will be there from various agricultural universities for this webinar, and also I would like to say Happy New Year to all, and especially to my floriculture friends all over the world who are working and joined today for this session. The subject which is given to me to speak is global employment, business opportunities in protected cultivation and floriculture. Actually, it was given only for floriculture. I added protected cultivation after asking to Naqvi, shall I add it? And because it is quite similar, and so it can be switched from protected cultivation to floriculture, or vice versa. Same what I did many times. So basically, this subject or this topic itself is little critical, I can say, or little tricky, we can say, because as we know, employment in any sector, it's very difficult nowadays. But if I see my experience in for 25 years in this floriculture, from my perspective, it's very easy. I always get many opportunities. I selected the best opportunity. I switched on to that opportunity, and it happens 4 or 5 times. So for personally, my opinion is there are best opportunities available in floriculture and in protected cultivation. And same, it might happen that some people may not get, they must have tried, they did not get the opportunity, maybe in floriculture or protected cultivation. And so they may think that, no, this is not the sector where we should go. So I think maybe Naqvi brothers have selected me because I have shifted many times and I got good opportunities, right from greenhouse supervisor in 1994 to today. I am heading one organization under Ministry of Agriculture in New Delhi. So it's a change in 25 years, and of course getting the good opportunities itself. So I will just give a brief how the floriculture and the protected cultivation in India, in world, how it got changed, and how our horticulture, agriculture, or agricultural engineers, how they can be suitable in these sectors. So just a brief presentation I have made. Now the opportunities are for BSc Agriculture, MSc Agriculture, BSc, MSc Horticulture students, agricultural engineers, BTech, MTech, at some places it is BE Agriculture, then MBA, BBA Agribusiness, MBA Marketing, And then subjects, we call it as a special subject specialist, like MSc in entomology, pathology, soil science. So all these, they can get easy jobs initially in the floriculture. And once you update yourself, once you have quite good experience in this, then you can shift. Like, for example, one of my friend who was having MSc soil science, and I am an agricultural engineer. So when we joined together in one of the floriculture unit in '95, so I was looking after, say, micro irrigation and greenhouse structures, etc., being an agricultural engineer, and he was looking after irrigation and especially fertilizer management. And then after 2-3 years, we got experience in all other things like crop protection, cultural practices, post-harvest, cleaning, grading, bunching, and sorting, and all those things. And then you come to a certain same level after 4 or 5 years working together. Then it doesn't make any difference whether you are agricultural engineer or you are entomology or soil science or horticulture, like that. But in the initial stage, you need to have certain background, and these are the backgrounds which are preferred in floriculture. Now, when we think as an employee, what I get in this floriculture or in the protected cultivation. Now, as an employee, you can be a greenhouse floriculture supervisor in the initial stage. Like, for example, as soon as you become graduate, okay, theoretical knowledge is there, but practical knowledge is not at all there. And experiences, those who are graduates and now working for 8 to 10 years in any field, not only in floriculture, the experience is that what we learn is totally different than what we work actually in the fields, whether it is greenhouse, whether it is agriculture, whether it is IT or any other sector. Theoretical, what we learn is little different, and actual working is completely different. But still, the base is the same, which we are going to use what we learn in our colleges and all. So you can begin with the greenhouse floriculture supervisor. Then, as a subject matter specialist, as I already said, after 2-3 years, you can become the floriculture manager, production managers, export managers with having certain background. If you have some export management or something, if you have some degrees and experience, it becomes easy for you to be an export manager. Then maintenance engineer, especially for agricultural engineers or civil engineers. You can have you can work as a maintenance engineers in big projects in India as well as abroad. Now, what I'm talking as opportunities are everywhere. It is not just the domestic, but it is the worldwide. These are the post available for this sector. Then marketing manager in domestic markets, like in India, a number of markets are available. So if you are at one place, your project is at one place, say for example in Pune, but you can have the markets in Delhi, in Chandigarh, in Kolkata, in Hyderabad, in Bangalore, and from Pune you can sell your flowers or your produce to all these markets. And certainly, if a particular background like MBA, etc., is with you, and especially like agribusiness, then it will be better for you as well as your employer for getting success as a marketing manager. Nowadays, even consultants, they are also getting a better scope in floriculture field. Many employees who are working as a greenhouse manager, floriculture manager, production manager, they also work as a consultant in for other farmers. And actually, that is a good thing. It is not that you are employee at one place and at the same time you are doing consultancy for other. Actually, you are helping the floriculture sector to come up by helping the others. So job of consultant is also equally important for lifting up this sector. So these are some of the opportunities as an employee if you are thinking to join this floriculture sector. Then opportunity as a businessman. I think this is really a very good opportunity to be a businessman. Of course, there are certain criteria, certain qualities which are required to be a businessman. If I tell you my personal example, I also working as a production manager. I started a business, stopped my job and completely entered into the business. I could not do well business. Again, I shifted to the job. But some of my friends really, they are doing wonders. They were not good production managers or so, but when they started their own business, they are doing wonders, not only in India, but even in abroad as well. So as a businessman also, you can start now. There are various different categories how you can do the business in this field. Now here I will take the help of as a protected cultivation. What are the different opportunities? One opportunity is like a greenhouse grower. If you are a farmer, or if you are having a degree in this agriculture, horticulture, etc., then you can become a greenhouse grower. If you have your own land, then you can have the greenhouse with the help or without the help of subsidies or whatever. But if you can become a grower, you can start growing the flowers, vegetables, etc. If your greenhouse is of 1 acre or 2 acre, you can start with domestic marketing, and once the area is increased, because there is a certain minimum quantity required for exports, so you need to have certain number of greenhouses. Normally, I remember we used to say the project should be of minimum 4 hectares, 10 acres for the export. That should be the minimum. So once you have that, you can start export as well. So greenhouse grower is one of the opportunity as a businessman. Then second opportunity is to be a greenhouse erector, fabricator, manufacturer. You can have your own fabrication or manufacture unit. You can start the business of greenhouse erection, greenhouse manufacturing. Now again, if I take you to back to the 1990s, I remember there were hardly 1 or 2 fabricators, and they were also made fabricators. Actually, they were having certain other businesses, but they were made. No, you can do this, and that way they started it. And today, if you see every tehsil level, every district level, you will find 8 to 10 greenhouse fabricators and erectors. So definitely, a lot of changes are there in business and in overall greenhouse industry. And everywhere in India, you will find this greenhouse erectors and all. And still, all are successful. All are getting good business. Forget about this pandemic, but otherwise, in general, when we speak, I remember when I started in '94 as a assistant greenhouse manager in one of the floriculture project. At that time, we were importing greenhouses. We were importing micro irrigation systems. We were importing plants also from the Netherlands. Today, if I see after 25 years, we are exporting greenhouses, we are exporting micro irrigation systems, we are exporting plants. Now, Kishore sir is here, his company is exporting the plants all over the world. So, a complete scenario is changed. What 25 years before was there and what today. Now, continuously all our experts, they are talking about the Kenya, Ethiopia, which is completely dominated by Indians. Now, this is again, I can say that it is the export of knowledge. It is the export of knowledgeable people from India to worldwide. Some are working in Colombia, like in South America and all. Some are working in Europe. Some are working in Malaysia, in Thailand also. So all over the world, I can see the Indian friends working. So this is also one way of entering into the business in greenhouse industry. Then, of course, become the traders or the wholesalers. I have seen many of my friends starting as a small trader, but now they are very good exporters. They are not the growers, but they are collecting the flowers from other farmers. They have their own packing and cold storages, etc., and they are exporting it. So that is also one good business. Retailer to have a shop and do the business. Then input suppliers. Not necessary you need to be a manufacturer. Like for example, if you see my presentation, it's like Krishi Seva Kendras, pesticides, fertilizers, packaging materials, IPM cards, that blue sticky cards and all, bud nets, etc. So you need to you need not to be a pesticide manufacturer or fertilizer manufacturer. You can just take the take these things from the manufacturer, and you can have your own business in your village, at your tahsil, at your district place. And definitely agriculture is there, horticulture is there, floriculture is there. These businesses, they have no end. In fact, you will grow day by day, but you will not come back. So input supplier business is also a very good business. Exporters, as I already told you, one time was there when India was importer for everything. Now India is exporting everything. Just today, when I was seeing the news regarding this corona vaccine, today we started in India. There was one slogan or one sentence was like that: in February 2020, we were not manufacturing a single PPE kit. All the PPE kits we used to import. Today, condition is that we are exporting the PPE kits to various countries. And again, the vaccine is ready in India for the use, which we started today, which was never thought of before February 2020. So when it comes to us, we are there and we can make anything, everything which is possible. So now, new trends and innovations. What are the different new trends where what we can use in this greenhouse technology or the industry and floriculture? For example, nowadays terrace greenhouses, this concept has come in India. Why terrace greenhouses? For example, you are not a farmer, you are staying in some cities, urban areas, and but you are very much interested in the having own agriculture, horticulture. Then you can use your terrace. You can have the terrace greenhouses, small greenhouses, and you can go for hydroponics, vertical farming, etc. Now, if you search on social media or in the news, you will see that the major cities, whether it is Mumbai, Pune, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Delhi, surrounding these cities, there are number of these hydroponics and vertical farming units. And majority of the owners of these units, they are not basically the farmers. They are either IT people or they are from other backgrounds, but they entered into this type of farming and they are doing wonders in this field. So I will not say it is so easy and anybody can come and do it. No, not that. But it is possible because the people have showed it is possible, successful, and so it can be done by everyone with hard working and with proper studies. Startups in automations nowadays in last 2-3 years, many startups have come up in automation. Now, just one small example I will like to give here. Now, for example, I am sitting here in Delhi. My farm is in Pune, and I am operating the irrigation system sitting here with my mobile. It is possible. The software is there. Just I will push one button and the pump in my greenhouse pump will operate. My irrigation system will operate. A certain either it will be a time based or volume based. Or a certain time is over. Automatically the system will be closed, pump will be closed, and I will get a message that the irrigation is done. This is possible. So such startups, there are a number of startups available in India now, which is making the farmer's life easy. Of course, initial investment may be high, that can be calculated, how to get the investment back and all those things. But it is available in the market and the farmers can go with these automation systems. Edible flowers, this is again a new chapter. Actually, last year when I was in Indonesia for one training through Wageningen University of Netherlands, so there one lecture for us was on the edible flowers. And actually, I came to know these edible flowers at that time only. Then after coming back to India, then I started searching what is this and whether in India it is available or not. So through internet, I got some information that there are 2-3 projects in Bangalore and they are doing very good. But again, all over India, if I think the edible flower cultivation and use is very less. It can be increased. It is possible. So this can be a new possibility for our farmers to grow and process the edible flowers that can be eaten through the bakery products and all. Nowadays, one more business is the marketing apps. Number of mobile apps are available for marketing and for consultation to the farmers. So you can have design the app and help the farmers for marketing. So through the app itself, you can have you can collect the flowers, you can sell the flowers or even the vegetables and all. So marketing apps is also one good innovation for business also. Solar greenhouses or renewable energy, that is again a new concept, very new in India. Just it is coming up. A lot of thoughts are there, and if it really comes, then we don't need electricity anymore. In fact, the solar energy which will be generated from the solar panels, which will be used on the top of the greenhouses, that energy will be used on the farm, but so much of energy will be available to sell also. So major production will be of the solar energy, and plus your regular production in the greenhouses, that will be there. So this concept is also coming up. The students can study through Google, through their teachers, etc. Lot of things are available now, and this can also be taken up. Now it is coming up in a good way. Israel, a lot of experiments are done on these solar greenhouses. Even in Wageningen University in the Netherlands, they are doing certain experiments on this, and definitely they will come up with some knowledge, etc. We are also trying through our Minister of Agriculture at various, we have 22 precision farming development centers, and our NCPH is monitoring those, where we are going for, we do the research demonstrations in the field of precision agriculture and plastic applications. Greenhouse and protected cultivation is one of the application in that. So we are also trying to work on these solar greenhouses, and definitely we'd like to after 2-3 years, whenever the certain results will be there, certain conclusions will be there, definitely we'd like to share with all, so that this concept can be taken up by the farmers. And as you know that central government is pushing very hard this solar concept for the micro irrigation and for other schemes like household schemes and all. Through there is one MNRA division, and through that division they are pushing it. So the same concept can be brought in the greenhouses as well. So these are now here you can see some of the vertical farming projects in India. The left side project is Center of Excellence in Hyderabad. It's a horticulture department project where the lettuce and other vegetables can be grown. The right side project, actually, I have not visited this, but I have taken the photos through one of my friend. This is actually turmeric cultivation. You can see there are 6 to 7 steps, one of the above the other, and fantastic production is there. I heard this project is in Pune district, but I have to visit this project yet. But you can see the concept, the technology, how and majority the farmers themselves, they are learning and they are doing with the help of consultants, and I'm sure Praveen Sharma must be helping these growers to come off in the hydroponics and vertical farming. As I said you, the terrace greenhouses, here you can see the photo of terrace greenhouses. This is in Kerala, and I have visited this. The downside photo is of the hydroponics with soilless cultivation, tomato cultivation, and this project is also in India. The right side, these flowers you can see, these are the edible flowers. Very few, less production is there in India, just coming up. I think even Floriculture today, they can take up this subject because this is a very new subject, and the farmers, they will really like this. And since it is just coming up, initially they will definitely get very good market and to go further. So and I am sure every floriculturist must know this. This is the biggest marketing hub for and trading place for the floriculture. And every floriculturist has a dream to go and visit this place at least once in a life. This is the Flora Holland in the Netherlands. The maximum trading is done from here. The flowers from all over the different countries, it is brought here. All the buyers here, you can see these are the buyers sitting. So the flowers, they come in front of them. This is the auction clock here. So all the information of the farmers or the growers, the variety name, number of stems which are for the sale, everything will come over there. The price will be fixed and immediately the sale will be there. So I remember when I was in floriculture in 95 to 2002, we used to send the flowers to the Netherlands, to UK, Singapore, and our major flowers we used to send to this auction hall for Holland. So this is the biggest marketing place, especially for those interested. They can see the website and they can see how the marketing is done all over the world. So this was all about in general perception of what can be done as an employee, as a business in floriculture and in protected cultivation. So many things can be done. What is important is you need to be a hard worker. You need to always keep your eyes, ears open try to learn the new things. I never thought means I will be like a production manager, because basically I'm an agricultural engineer. But luckily, because of my floriculture friends, they kept me teaching the things. I used to learn the things, and I did some courses internationally about say integrated pest management and like that. And then it came up. So if you want to do it, you can definitely do it. That's what I would like to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm switching off the share screen now. Thank you, Anand Zambre, sir, Executive Director of National Committee on Precision Agriculture and Horticulture. This information that you gave us about global employment and business opportunities in protected cultivation. Indeed, it's a very important that this information as such is available in a lot of places, on a lot of websites. But, you know, hearing from the first hand from somebody who has actually experienced it, and sitting among people who have actually grown from a small greenhouse they worked, and now they are handling hundreds of acres of greenhouses in the highest technologies. It's really gives so much encouragement that yes, there is potential there. Yes, there is opportunities for those people who are willing to work hard. Yes, greenhouse business is a business and even employment of responsibility. If you are a greenhouse grower, you cannot just ignore, like sometimes it happens in offices. Okay, there are mails pending and there are things pending, and you can think of, okay, let it be pending for 2 days. But here in greenhouse, you have to be, it's like an army job. You cannot ignore. If you see a pest infestation, or you see something wrong with the watering system or whatever system, you have to be on toes and get it done immediately. So it's a highly paying, but it is at the same time highly responsible job to be either a grower of flower or a greenhouse manager, or indeed most of the horticulture activity. Thank you, Anand sir. I think I would like to take, is there any question for Anand Zambre? We would like to pick it up. Abner Chin has given a comment that professionally, I do not believe in turmeric and ginger cultivation in this kind of verticals. Mr. Basavara Hundikar has asked about, please name some edible flowers. So if Anand sir would like to take it up. Meanwhile, as I had seen the question, I had just tried to see one of the topmost in Google, and I found 10 millions of 10 flowers. So,
yes. Actually, I'm not the expert. I just visited. I got some lecture on that in one of the training period course, and I like that concept, so I put it up here.
Okay, so for I'll just quickly go through, because this is the topmost pick by the Google. So I'm just seeing it's a hibiscus. They say it's available, dandelion, and then lavender is edible. Okay, it's a new lavender for me as well. Honeysuckle, the one flower mentioned. Nasturtium is another flower mentioned as edible over here. Borage is a flower mentioned. Porcelain, yes, this is what we have been. I mean, this is a part of our culture. We have been eating it since childhood in the villages. Roses, there are, of course, in the format of, we have edible products of the roses. Squash blossom, pansies are given as edible flower, and chamomile. So it was just to answer the question that yes, there are edible flowers.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So we have done this employment opportunities in floriculture. I think this was one presentation that completely covered everything. There was nothing left out of it. Audience will go now straight to, since we started a bit late, we are already quite behind the schedule. I'd go straight to the next session of future trends. And one way is that we look for the future trend. Another way is to talk to the people who are trendsetters. And a beautiful activity that has been done by Indian flower growers is coming together and formation of what we call is now Flower Council of India, Growers Flower Council of India to be precise. With us, we have Kishore Rajans, Director of Grower Flower Council of India. It's very important, Rajan sir, that the flower growers have come together. So that's why I said we are now sitting with the trend setters rather than we look for the trends. What is the vision of GFCI to support Indian flower growers, and what kind of set trends GFCI can do in future? For the growers, once again, we have been raising this question in ever since probably Flora in 2005. From that stage, I had raised this question. I had raised this question in 2006 at the Flora Expo at Pragati Maidan. That time Mr. Kalam was there, that we need to get together and we cannot afford. I'd just like to mention here a very interesting incident. When we visited Honorable President of India at that time, Dr. Kalam. So we visited him and we requested, sir, we would like to give you the biggest bouquet. And he asked me, why do you want to waste so much of money on me? He was a very thorough gentleman, and we all know what kind of person he was. He said, why do you want to spend so much money on me? And believe me, I told him, sir, flower growers of India cannot afford, we are poor growers. We are not such big corporates. We cannot afford Mr. Amitabh Bachchan or Aishwarya Rai. Actually, I took these two names. I said we cannot. At that time, she was obviously reigning Miss World. So I could not. I said we cannot afford Amitabh Bachchan or Aishwarya Rai ji to promote flower consumption. That's why we are requesting you to take this up, and your presence will promote flower consumption in India. I think I must share with you. We got a rejection letter from President of India's house that it is not possible. There were certain issues at that time going on. We actually got a rejection letter, and then we got a senior officer visiting us asking, what have you said to President? He insists that he wants to come. We have sent rejection, but he is insisting that he has to come. We said, sir, we have requested him certain thing on behalf of flower growers, and he has accepted it. So please do whatever you want. And I think we had all faced consequences. Even the exhibitors were taken out of the exhibition halls, and they said we just want to clean everything entire. But then it was the love that the flower growers had a president acting as a kind of model for him. And that is when he said, I want the very first stall. And it was, I think, in the history of India, there was no exhibition which had a stall of President of India House. Stall number 1 was allocated officially to the President of India House on a very token amount, 1 rupee, if I remember correctly. So it's important that flower growers have to come together, jointly promote this product and increase our market. It is not a monopoly product. Over to you, Kishore ji. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. I will share my screen. Are you able to see the screen?
No, you have to share it again. Please use share screen option. You have to use the share screen option.
Do you see it?
No, sir, it is not yet shared.
Just a minute.
Meanwhile, those who have just joined, let me go through the what we have been doing. We have Mr. Kishore Rajans, Mr. Krish Sharma talked about key takeaways. As Mr. Rajans is back, I'm stopping my share screen, and over to you, Mr. Rajans. You can start share screen now. Technically, you have to first open the file before sharing it. Otherwise, it will not appear.
Okay, I'll do that.
Once it opens, then only you have options. Meanwhile, audience, if you have any question, please use the question answer panel to send your question.
Mr. Nakvi, I have opened the file.
Okay, now use the green button, share screen.
Yes.
And then select among the options, select the one which you want to share. Yes, it is sharing now. Please unmute yourself, sir.
Yeah, you can see this.
Yes, sir. Perfect.
So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to represent Growers Flower Council of India. I think it's a milestone in 2020 in Indian floriculture industry during the Corona period. And I'm sure this will be a long-term project for all the growers in India for sustainable floriculture. I will cover the topics like backdrop, initiatives taken by Care Bioplants with the support from the growers for the formation, the vision of GFCI, and the most profound Bengaluru flower showcasing event organized during the pandemic, which was very hardcore pandemic period. So I think this is the 2020 was the first year in our generation's life that we saw the whole world stand still due to COVID. And almost everything was hit very badly. But unfortunately, floriculture was the sector which had to face massive setback because the sector was not recognized as essential category. And therefore, there was no policy frame for our industry how to sustain and survive during COVID, unlike in other countries. The situation was really painful and devastating, especially for flower growers, since no weddings, no social gathering, and hence farmers had no choice but to throw the flowers in the dumpsters. As I earlier said, it was really painful to see the picture, the videos coming every day during March end, April whole month, May and June first week. And it was really a soul searching that what we need to do about this situation. So we strongly believed desperate measures in desperate times. We had that motto, and the whole team of KFs started brainstorming, and then we came out with a draft, which was the concept of GFCI. The first person to support happily and strongly was Mr. Srikant Bolapalli from Bengaluru. He said, sir, please go ahead. I am with you and we should take it forward. And then we started drafting, redrafting. And while drafting, we understood that floriculture industry is not so big as far as the revenue is concerned to be addressed by our politicians and policymakers. Also, for last 2 decades, the industry has not moved further than wedding decorations. This means, first of all, we have to make this industry revenue-wise such a big that it should be addressed by everyone. And second, we need to generate demand for the flowers and not to be limited only with the social gatherings and the wedding decorations. That means we'll have to inculcate the culture of using flowers and plants in our day-to-day life, and something needs to be changed. Our team studied the flower council of various countries around the world. Also, I personally talked to Mr. Lean, the chairman of World Flower Council, who really guided us very well. And then our draft was aligned with our Indian needs for the long term. As I said, Mr. Srikanth was the main pillar for the whole concept of GFCI. And then Mr. Narendra Patil from iFlora, Mr. Rajiv Roy, Mr. Chetan Dedia, Mr. Mahesh Jain, Mr. Shashi Karan, and many other people who came together, and with their valuable guidance, we have shaped up the whole organization. Log judte gaye aur karwa banta gaya. This was the concept behind the GFCI. Then we had many virtual meets during the lockdown with the people from the industries, and everybody had same opinion that yes, we have to come together and we need to do something for the industry on a long term. So GFCI were born as an establishment under Section 8 company for flower promotion. This is the no profit, no loss organization. Mr. Srikanth Bulapalli and Mr. Narendra Patil took the responsibility as president and vice president respectively, being in the field consistently over 2 decades. Mr. Dhananjay accepted to serve the organization as general manager, and the mission to take floriculture industry in India was conceptualized. Now the vision. Everybody asks why we need Grower Flower Council of India, because there are many organizations already existing in the country. My stake was that yes, there are many organizations and they are doing wonderful job for the farmers, for the input suppliers, for the country. But there is no one who is trying to generate demand for flowers on day-to-day basis. Because today, if we see Indian floriculture industry, thanks to the technology, technocrats, the policy of the government, and the very good infrastructure development in the country, that today the farmer is able to produce good quality flowers consistently in a volume. But what about the market? There are no organizations who are really supporting for marketing of the produce, the flowers of the farmer. And that's how GFCI, we have decided that the sole goal of the company is to inspire the person to buy flowers and the plants and keep them all the time in the minds of the people. How do you do it? We need to define and develop effective marketing campaigns with flowers and plants in the starring role for the consumer users. That means we all have to think about the new trends of the designs, innovative trends of the designs, where the consumer will get attracted. We are also focusing to enhance quality production of cut flowers, related input product supplies in the interest of the market and the floriculture industry, to ensure that GFCI continues to provide value to its customers through new strategic pillars such as data management, trade facilitation, and innovation for sustainability. GFCI will act as a catalyst to promote the trade facilitation and innovation for sustainability and not directly getting involved into the trade. So that is the objective of GFCI. Another objectives are to guide our growers to establish good agriculture practices as certified producers with sustainable and quality production of cut flowers. We are planning to generate a GFCI standard as an ISI mark, and we will give these logos to our growers. We want to establish bridge between industry and policymakers for transport and congenial policy for the benefits of the industry. We want to create awareness against rampant use of artificial flowers among the end users. I'm sure everybody agree with this. Last 3 to 4 years, we are seeing the artificial flowers are taking the center stage and the real flowers are going on to back bench. So this is not a good sign for the floriculture industry and also for the people in the country. So we need a massive awareness campaign to stop rampant use of artificial flowers. And the most important is to establish e-commerce facilities for the growers to promote and sell their products. In the earlier presentation, Mr. Harry, Mr. Praveen, they have also emphasized on this product that in the future, with this millennial generation, the e-commerce facilities for buying flowers, for selling flowers will be a paramount important, because nobody is going to the shop. Nobody wants to have a physical connection with the buyer. And with the use of technology, e-commerce will be the backbone of floriculture industry in the future. Flower showcasing. I said in the June, Bengaluru farmers, they have done wonderful job by showcasing at least 10 to 11 places in Bangalore, the beautiful flower decorations for the people to come and see. This was not only a showcasing of the flowers, but to express our gratitude towards the Corona warriors, the police, the medical industry people like nurses, doctors, and the essential service providers, housekeeping people. So we had a beautiful mannequins of depicting each sector of this essential service people. And this event was organized for 3 to 4 days in Bangalore. I would like to thank the Bangalore team leading by Mr. Srikanth. Then a lot of other people joined and everybody contributed their inputs to make this event a grand success. This event was appreciated by international floriculture magazines like Flora Daily and Horti Daily and many other people. Here are some pictures of the flower showcasing at Bengaluru. If you see the flower consumption and the quality of decoration, the class of decoration, you can imagine if we would have organized this showcasing in the normal period, it is worth more than 40-50 lakhs. And I'm very proud to say that all our farmers community from Bengaluru, they did not take even a single rupee, and the whole event was done at free of cost. And that's the beauty of the Growers Flower Council of India. So with this presentation, I'm here to appeal all my Indian friends who are in the global floriculture industry to support GFCI to promote flower consumption on day-to-day basis. Thank you so much. Over to Mr. Nakvi.
Thank you, Kishorji. Mr. Abner Chin has raised. Mr. Chin, please ask your question. You need to unmute yourself if you want to ask a question. Please go ahead and ask the question.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Hello, Kishore Saab and Nakvi Saab. How are you all? Thank you for this beautiful session. I can say that I'm learning a lot here from Israel. I would like to add something here. For cut flowers and floriculture, we are, and my question that I asked before also, we are stuck in the 5 cut flowers that we are growing in India. And floriculture is fashion. And in fashion, if you give the same, more of the same, people are not interested. And Kishore Saab is doing very good job. And in his position, I would like to say that we have to bring new cut flowers in the business. Then people will buy more. Because if we are dealing with fashion, yeah, modern agriculture is fashion, but cut flower is the cutting edge of fashion. So I would suggest Kishore Saab to add to the thinking that we have to introduce what I call the summer flowers. And you know, we have met Kishore Saab and we have talked about it. We have to introduce to our cut flower basket for the Indian consumers new things that will attract them. And by this, I'm sure we will enlarge our capacity of selling flowers. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Amnar. We will certainly look at your request, and we are already working on some new products like Ornithogalum and Craspedia from Danziger, Israel. And there are many more coming in the basket. So we will come with the novelty varieties for the Indian farmers.
Okay, dear participants, as we are coming to the end of this virtual conference on Indians in global floriculture industry, is there anybody would like to have any comment or question? Please do use your question answer, or else we would be closing the seminar now. You can use either raise hand feature to give your comment, or you can use question answer to send a question. So it seems there are no further questions. I would like to now conclude the seminar. Before concluding, I think I must thank the esteemed participants and of course, more importantly, the experts who have made this seminar possible. I would like to thank Mr. Kishore Rajans, Director of Grower Flower Council of India. I would like to thank Mr. Praveen Sharma, President of Indian Society of Floriculture Professionals. I would also like to thank Mr. Santosh Kulkarni, PJ Dave, Flora, Kenya, for sending us about post-pandemic opportunities and trends, though he sent only a video message to us. We would like to thank Mr. Hari Subramaniam, CEO of IndieFresh Limited, UK. He told us about future trends in UK flower imports. We would like to thank Mr. Anand Zambre, Executive Director, National Committee on Precision Agriculture and Horticulture. He gave a presentation about global employment business opportunities in protected cultivation. Once again, Kishore ji talked about GFCI support to Indian floriculture flower growers, floriculture sector as a whole. Two of our panelists who could not join, Mr. Pejman Azadi was President of Iranian Society of Ornamental Plants. He had promised, but he is not there. And Mr. M. Nasser from General Manager of Middle East Smithers Oasis. So in any case, I would like to thank once again all of you, and the conference is open for if there is any kind of suggestion. We would like to invite your suggestion for future conferences. Thank you so much. Any comment from the panelists is welcome.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hari, Mr. Praveen, Mr. Anand. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
It
Zafar
was nice to
for
see you
bringing,
all after so long gap.
bringing
you
all
so
of us
much.
together. And Kishore
Yes.
sir, we are all with you on this
Yes.
flower council. All of us are going to bring the flowers on top now very soon. We are already on the right track.
Yes.
I would like to say thank you to Mr. Naqvi. You know, it's a wonderful platform. And all the best, Mr. Kishore Rajans. You know,
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
together to take this venture forward.
And for Mr. Harry, I want to say something. He is the lone warrior who is based in Europe and supporting Indian flower exports for years together. So we are privileged to have you there, and you carry on your good work. And we want your expertise for the Indian market also to make it look more professional. You know, our florists also, they have to be trained. So I think your input will be very helpful for all the Indian florists also.
Thank you very much, Mr. Praveen.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
So as we come to the
Bye.
conclusion, all the flower growers, I would like to appeal all flower growers. Please join Flower Growers Council of India, Growers Flower Council of India, GFCI. The forms are available at GFCI offices. They are also available at Floriculture Today offices. We would be sharing these forms. Any flower grower who is either a small grower, whether you are growing in polyhouse or a greenhouse or a glass house, if you are connected to in any way flower business as a whole, GFCI would be the right platform that you must join. You know, each of us has to join, so that once we make this institutional stronger, we would be able to create a stronger market for the benefit of all of us. So it's important that the membership forms are available with us. Those who would like to join may give your comment in Facebook, or you can send a mail to us, or you can fill online forms as well. Our website is almost ready. It's working. And of course, it will be many more features will be coming to the website of Grower Flower Council of India. I once again appeal all flower growers, जो भी फूल उगा रहे हैं देश में बंधु, चाहे आपका छोटा फार्म है, चाहे आपका बड़ा फार्म है, चाहे आप फ्लोरिस्ट हैं, चाहे आप ट्रेडिंग कर रहे हैं, चाहे आप कोई सप्लाई कर रहे हैं, ग्रीन हाउस दे रहे हैं, प्लास्टिक बेच रहे हैं, चाहे छोटी सी बड के लिए प्लास्टिक की कवरिंग ही क्यों ना सेल कर रहे हो, ग्रोवर फ्लावर काउंसिल ऑफ इंडिया एक इंस्टीट्यूशन है जहां हम सबको मिलकर अपने देश की फ्लोरिकल्चर इंडस्ट्री को आगे बढ़ाना है। और मेरी अपील होगी कि अगर हम मिशन मोड में लेकर चलें हमारे ऑनरेबल प्रेसिडेंट ने मिशन 2020 कहा था, विजन 2020, जो भी कारण रहे, फ्लोरिकल्चर ऑफ इंडिया वर्ल्ड में नंबर 1 नहीं बन पाए, लेकिन इंडियन फ्लावर ग्रोवर्स एंड इंडियंस इन फ्लोरिकल्चर आर डेफिनेटली रिगार्डेड एज नंबर 1 इन द वर्ल्ड मार्केट। शायद हमें अपना अगला टारगेट लेना है दैट हमें भारत को कम से कम फ्लोरिकल्चर में जो हमारे कंट्रोल की चीजें, हम कोशिश करेंगे विश्व गुरु इन फ्लोरिकल्चर हमें बनाना है। लेट्स टेक ए टारगेट ऑफ 5 years और 10 years। लेट्स ऑल ऑफ अस स्टार्ट वर्किंग दैट देश दुनिया में अगर कहीं कोई बुके बनेगा तो कम से कम एक फूल, एक पत्ती, एक डिजाइन भारतीय होगा। जय हिंद।
जय हिंद। वाह।
जय हिंद।
Thank you.
Bye bye.
बाय।
With this we are stopping the seminar. Thank you so much। अगर आपको इस बारे में दोबारा जानकारी हासिल करना है, आप हमारे फ्लोरिकल्चर टुडे के अलग अलग हमने ग्रुप्स बनाए हुए हैं। हमारे पास टेलीग्राम चैनल बना दिया है जहां मैगजीन हर महीने आपको मिल जाती है। फेसबुक पर ग्रुप्स बने हुए हैं। फ्लावर काउंसिल ऑफ इंडिया के बारे में जानकारी हासिल करनी हो तो फॉर्म्स हमारे पास अवेलेबल हैं। सभी ग्रोवर से अपील है, कृपया हमें लिखें, हम वो फॉर्म्स आपसे शेयर कर देंगे। थैंक यू सो मच। वी आर कमिंग टू द एंड ऑफ सेमिनार। लाइव एंड कर दिया।
ठीक, अब इस बार से ग्रीन स्प्रेड करके वहां से कट